Welcome to SportsBeat KC, the Kansas City Star's daily sports podcast. It's Monday, July 20th, and I'm Blair Kirchhoff. Last week, we learned that Chris Jones had agreed to a 4-year deal worth up to $85 million. It was the final piece of the offseason puzzle for the Chiefs, who returned 20 of 22 starters from the Super Bowl championship team. On Monday, Jones, head coach Andy Reid, and general manager Brett Veach met with reporters to talk about the big deal. You'll hear Reid speak to Jones' importance to the team and Jones talking about what a big contract means to him. But as is usually the case, the person I found most interesting was Veach, who took us behind the scenes in the negotiations. We'll hear from Jones, Reid, and Veach in the first part of the episode. After a break, it'll be all Jones. We heard them all through a Zoom teleconference, and as you might know by now, the audio quality isn't always great, but here we go.
BJ, we certainly had some obstacles to overcome. I wouldn't say we were surprised because we were driven and determined, this whole time at the Combine. I said that, we were going to be at work and really lay our plan out. And our plan was to do a lot of the things that we've done this offseason, but right at the top of that list was Pat Mahomes and Chris Jones, and everyone knew that. So when you have two elite players, you don't find these guys. These guys, you just don't draft them year after year. These guys come once every couple of years. Chris is not a guy that you can just find in any draft. So when you have a player that talented, that special, you're driven and determined. And look, I think that it took longer than we anticipated just because of the unknown. So I would say, we weren't surprised because we were driven and determined to make sure that Chris Jones was the Kansas City Chief.
Yeah, so my part is just what you said, BJ, is that Chris is an energy giver. He comes to work with a smile on his face and works hard. And people can get they can misunderstand his vivacious personality, but and substitute that in that he might not be as smart because he's having a good time. But he's a brilliant kid. He like I said, he's been right in touch with this whole thing here. He goes about football that same way. When it's time to crank it down, he knows everything by every position that's going on and wants to know. And so, and that those are the kind of guys that we like having on the football team. It's we throw a lot at them and at all positions, and you want guys that can digest it. And Chris is able to do that. Still keep a smile on his face, still bring energy every day, and that helps guys feed on, especially during the tough times.
All right, let's go to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Brett, understanding that there's so much uncertainty where the cap is going starting next year, what's your comfort level that you'll have the wiggle room to do whatever it is you feel you need to do going forward once these contracts start kicking in?
Yeah, well, we don't know yet. And, I go back to BJ's question about being surprised. And my statement was we weren't surprised. It just took longer. And, Adam, to your question, that's really why this took some time, because we were just trying to go through all the scenarios. Again, we don't know where the cap's going to be, but we have to have plans ready in place for whether it grows, stays the same, it dips, at what levels, what we need to do, what moves we have to make. So, we have a plan and we'll be able to go in some different areas. But once we got to a level where we felt comfortable that over the next few years that, we have enough game planning in place to protect ourselves, and then we felt good. So, again, the whole time we felt confident that something would get done. We just needed to go through we waited for as much information as we could get. And then at a certain point, once we felt pretty good about our setup for the short and the long term, then we were able to pull the trigger. Let's go to Sam McDowell. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, guys. Thanks for doing this. Teicher actually just asked what I wanted to ask to Brett. But, Chris, I wondered if you could sort of touch on your journey as a whole. I mean, when you look back at coming from Houston, Mississippi, I mean, does signing a deal like this sort of allow you to think back at how far you've come? And if so, what stands out most about your journey here?
The hard work I actually put in to get here and where I'm at today. And then actually thinking about sleeping on a two-seater couch. That's the first thing I actually did when I signed the deal. I called my grandmother, and we actually talked about me sleeping on our living room couch. You know, it was 2 seats that came from my living room. So we put it in a dining room and got a new living room set, and that was my bed for my end of my junior year and my senior year of high school. I slept on that couch and we just talked and cried about it. So you actually go back and look at those times and reminisce, and makes you really grateful for this.
Let's go to James Palmer. Go ahead, James.
All right, thanks, Brett. This is for Chris and Brett. Chris, you kind of were outspoken about not wanting to play on the tag. If this deal didn't get done, were you genuinely not going to play this year? And then Brett, with him kind of being outspoken in that sense, how did that play a part in your guys' negotiations and kind of how this went down?
Me personally, I kind of had a feeling the deal was going to get done. Ashley was a crazy story. Ashley, when Pat deal got done, as soon as this deal got done, Pat texted me and said, let's get this thing done. I left something on the table. Let's get this thing done. And that's when I had the security that, the me and the Chiefs was going to work something out. I was confident in that and to make sure that they was going to get something done.
Yeah, and as we were working through this process, again, the Katz brothers did an amazing job of just showing their patience and being understanding of the current climate and what was going on. We met at the combine and we told them that, listen, this is a priority. Chris Jones will be a Chief, but help us navigate this free agency process, and then we'll be in good shape to understand where we are. And then as soon as we kind of got through that process, this Corona hit and everything got kind of turned upside down. So it would have been very easy for Chris to get upset, for the Katz brothers to get upset, but they understood. They understood the climate, and they understood that things were going to get done. They were just going to take longer than anticipated. But again, I go back to just being able to express our commitment to Chris and just getting through the free agency period, and then the pandemic, and then also understanding that we're also navigating a Pat Mahomes contract. But they trusted us, and they believed that once we had all the information we needed, and once we got some things in order, that we were certainly going to address Chris Jones. One of the things that got kind of taken, got taken the wrong way was, our commitment and appreciation for Chris Jones, and, how the Chiefs feel and this and that. I mean, the whole time, Chris and his agents knew that how much we loved him, and, we were absolutely going to do everything we could to keep him here. So, I think that kind of got, just because there wasn't a lot of talking, and the reason why there wasn't talking is because both sides, everyone needed more information. So the reality of it is we certainly love Chris and wanted him here, and the agents believed in us, and we certainly were able to get this done through hard work and just a lot of trust and dialogue. Let's go to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Hey guys, thanks for doing this. My question is for Brett. Brett, you mentioned that Chris is a player that you just simply can't draft. I know that you typically will zone in on these guys that you evaluate as blue players. What makes Chris that way for you?
Well, I mean, he's unblockable. I mean, as an interior pass rusher, I mean, with his size, his athleticism, his quickness, I mean, it takes two guys to block him. I mean, all you have to do is turn the Super Bowl on and see what he did in the Super Bowl against a very good 49er team. When this guy goes, you can't block him. You have to put two bodies on him. But again, he's a young guy, and we certainly feel that he's just scratching the surface. He's going to continue to get better and better and better. And Chris had stated, when we announced via Twitter that we signed him, that his goals were to be Defensive Player of the Year. And believe me, talent-wise, there's no stopping him. So if he can stay healthy and just keep on this upward trajectory, there's no doubt in my mind he has all the tools needed to do that. Let's go to Seren Petro. Go ahead, Seren.
Kind of one for Brett and one for Coach Reid. Brett, the Mahomes contract came first, and then Chris Jones' contract gets done. But were you kind of was there a little, massaging of both of them where you needed one guy to do this to make the other guy fit? And were they kind of working in concert? Were the negotiations kind of going on in concert, or did it go Pat and then Chris? And then for Coach Reid, getting Chris Jones back, it's 20 of 22 starters that you had in the Super Bowl, and really 22 guys that started during the course of the year that you'll have back. most teams have, that have gone to back-to-back Super Bowls, 6, 7, 8 guys that turn over. Do you worry that now having everybody back, maybe there's a sense of complacency that you don't have guys that have that hunger that are looking for that first ring?
Well, going in to the offseason and knowing that our priorities were Pat Mahomes and Chris Jones, we got through the free agency process and we had a plan that we felt we could execute independently of each other, and we were ready to go. But the curveball was, Seren, as you mentioned, just the unknown. So, to your question, going into this, we were able to come up with an independent plan for both and just be able to hopefully execute and not have to worry about one being done before the other. But this did take a curve with the unknown cap for next year and just being able to allocate our funding in a proper manner that we can handle both players. So to your question, the honest answer is that it did take some massaging for both of these players and their cash flows early on to make sure that we can handle and be protected against the cap next year. And again, we still don't know where that's going to go. So going into this, I think that we were all systems go. But as this got closer to training camp, we really needed more time to work through the deals and kind of have one work with each other to get them done.
Yeah, Seren, I'm not as concerned about that, having everybody back. I feel the energy that the guys have. I think now it's just important that we bear down and go through the process of getting the work done. And from what I could tell from talking to the guys, everybody's ready to do that. And now we just have to do it. So we got to take day by day and take it day by day and work our tail off. So we understand that's going to take place. And listen, if we can be half as good as your beard's looking right now, dude, we'll be good.
All right, guys, we have time for a couple more for Coach and Brett before we let them go. Let's go to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey, guys, thanks for doing this. My question for Chris is, Chris, just what does it mean to you that Patrick was willing to work out his deal with you in mind in terms of your teammates and your guys' relationship? And then secondly, for Brett and Coach, what does it say about Patrick and then everybody understanding the team's goal in mind for this offseason?
For me, it was just about the understanding that me and Pat have about creating the dynasty in Kansas City. I mean, we both have initially the same goal, create a dynasty, build something special, especially in Kansas City with Coach Reid and all the talent we have there. And we all have the same mindset. We want to keep this team together. So whatever we have to do initially to make sure that we ensure that we stay together and we also keep the guys around us together, then we can come together and do that.
Yeah, was I next on that, I guess? So I'm not worried about everything, Nate, as far as how things end up or whatever. I just want to make sure that we get down and we go through the process of getting ourselves ready to go. I think it's important that you do that day by day and, work hard. So, I mean, if we do that and we stay focused, we'll be on the challenges. There are ups and downs in every league, and you got to prepare yourself to work through all that stuff. I think I answered your question. I think that was what you had in mind.
Let's go to Matt Derrick. Go ahead, Matt.
Thanks, guys, for doing this, and congratulations to Chris. First for Brett, you said this needed time to get done. But would your preference have been for you to be able to get this done last season when, Chris was holding out from the off-season workouts? And because, as you mentioned, you don't like for things to get to the franchise tag. And for Coach, you've handled the personnel side in Philadelphia. Just curious, what's your take on how Brett has handled this offseason and how difficult is it to just juggle the cap and do the things that he's done to keep this group together?
Well, look, I mean, we would have loved to get something done last season. I think that, when you have a player as talented as Chris, I mean, the sooner you can get something done, the better. What I do think it's a great example of Chris's maturity as a person and as a pro. As you mentioned, Chris wanted to get something done. We weren't able to do that last year. And in addition to that, we felt going into last offseason, losing Justin Houston and D Ford, we had to add another elite playmaker to go along with Chris, and we did that. So we trade a pick, we get Frank, and we give Frank a contract. We want to do something with Chris. We can't get it done. But there was always communication that, we'll get something, just be patient. It would have been very easy for Chris, to show up late or, to complain. But Chris was dedicated to this team. He wanted to win a Super Bowl. And the really cool thing, Coach and I talk about all the time, how is Chris going to handle the first few weeks of practice with Frank and being a little disappointed. And within a few days, I remember being at training camp last year and seeing Frank and Chris just hit it off. And I said, this is going to be pretty cool because Frank Clark has a lot of respect for Chris Jones because he knows how good he is. And Chris has a lot of respect for Frank. So now we're here a year later. Both these guys have been secured by the Chiefs. And again, it's a special relationship those two have. And now that we're able to both compensate them for their services on the field is a cool deal for us. And now they can just go out there and do what they do.
Yeah. So why don't you go ahead and ask me that same question that you had there so everybody hears it one more time.
Yeah, you've handled the personnel side before in Philadelphia. Yeah. Just how difficult is it to do what Brett did this offseason with juggling the salary cap and getting all of these guys back this year?
Yeah, no, listen, I think Brett's done a phenomenal job with it. And I think you guys have got to know him now and that relentless personality. Nothing's impossible. It's positive. Let's explore. Let's not be afraid to go there. Let's not say that it can't be done. Let's find a way that it can be done. All of those things are how he operates. And that again ends up being something that is contagious with people that are around him. So everybody feeds off of that energy. And that's what's made this whole thing really possible. I mean, I think if you looked around the league, people are going to say, how in the world did they get this done? Well, relationships, relentless work, planning in advance, not waiting to the moment to do it. But I mean, he's been on top of this for a while, and then he got thrown this curveball with the pandemic, which it's not a right now thing. It is right now, but it's also something that affects the future. So he's been relentless on finding a way to get it done where it's not going to kill you down the road with deals. And so there've been a lot of man hours that he's put into this. So my hat goes off to him. I've seen how these things work, and I was around two of the best in the business in Philadelphia that worked with the cap, and so was Brett. I mean, he was around those guys too, but just the job that he's done here has just been tremendous, along with his guys. But he's the leader of that.
Hey, it's Blair. We have a special subscription offer for SportsBeat KC listeners. Unlimited digital access to the Kansas City Star's award-winning sports coverage. Sign up now for 1 year of Sports Pass for access to all the sports news, features, and columns presented on the kansascity.com site, and it's only $30. That's a 40% savings off our regular rate. Your subscription will automatically renew after the initial term at $50 unless you tell us to cancel. Your subscription helps support the sports coverage of kansascity.com and the Kansas City Star, and that support has never been more important. Please visit kansascity.com/SportsBeatKC offer to get this special offer. And as always, thanks for listening.
Chris, congratulations again, man. I know that it's been a long time coming and a lot of work that you had put into to get that financial security, man. So congratulations. The question I have is, besides locking in that financial security for yourself, you've spoken a lot about dynasty, and your teammates have used that word, even going down to Miami after the game. How do you feel like you getting this deal done and all the other moves this offseason have put you guys in a prime position to make that, a reality and something within your grasp?
BJ, appreciate it. I think there's something that's a process that you have to build, and you got to have everyone around you and everybody within the organization committed to building that. And I think that's what we're doing right now. Starting from the owner, from the president, and you go down to the GM, the head coach, and relaying that message throughout the building. Not only relaying the message, but instilling the message in everyone that's in the building that is creating something special. And once it starts to trickle down, people start to believe in, and then we can put it into fruition of making it happen. I think that's what we're doing now. Slowly but surely, we're getting all the right pieces back. And we got 20 or 22 starters coming back to do. I think everybody still had the same hunger mindset that, we done tasted success, and I feel like we want to taste it again because one is good, but two is better. And I think everyone is headed on the right track to the right path of running it back.
Let's go to Darren Smith. Go ahead, Darren.
Thank you, Chris. And first of all, congratulations on your contract extension. I think next time you can treat for lunch at Gates or something. But I wanted to talk to you, to ask you about your emotional roller coaster since last season. Obviously, you wanted a contract extension at that time. They brought in Frank, they brought in Tyron, and, we could tell by the look on your face when camp started that you wasn't emotionally there. What advice would you give your teammates in the near future when taking Brett at his word? If you're looking to get a deal done, that he's going to get a deal done, and also, do you believe that players should take team-friendly deals to help the cap and to stay with the team, or do you believe it's the team's responsibility to figure out the cap space?
Well, I appreciate it. Whenever you're in town, go to Joe's or Gates or Q39 and it's on me. And another thing I like is emotionally face. No, listen, just because I have a crazy emotional face on my facial expression, is that I'm always out there anytime I step on the field. So once I appeared in camp, there was I told my agents and Veach, no contract talks. Let's just focus on football and finish up for this year. And my thing was that it's about being patient. I knew going into this year, next year we could talk about contracts. And this phase was COVID came about and getting Pat deals done. Pat deal was important. The patience with that. And kind of understanding that whatever happens. I know I'm big into my faith, and I'm making sure that, whatever happens, God got me covered. For me, I always wanted to stay with the Kansas City Chiefs. And, it's not about being the highest paid player. It's not about being, it's about getting what you deserve and what you think can fit you. And I think me and the Chiefs came to agreement, a certain number, and that we both could agree to, and we made it happen. But most importantly, being patient with the organization and understanding that no matter what, you determine your own destiny.
Let's go to Len Jennings. Go ahead, Len.
Hey, Chris, congratulations on the new deal. There are a series of cryptic tweets that you kind of were putting out on social media, keeping a lot of fans guessing if you were going to come back or not come back. Did you feel like you were part of the process in this whole deal? Did you feel like you were getting the information that you needed? And I know you were talking about getting Pat's deal done, but how close to the process were you, especially in the relationship you had with the Chiefs?
A lot of stuff I tweet and a lot of stuff I post. You can't look at it too much because sometimes the mixed signal. When I actually go back and look at my text and my tweets, I can kind of see how people get mixed signals. But if I read something and I feel like I like it, I like to broadcast it. I'm one of those people that I like to see. I like to let people see how I think and what I read, and I do it through posting on my social media aspect. And I feel like people kind of begin to take social media too serious sometimes.
Let's go to Steve Walls. Go ahead, Steve. Steve, you got us?
Can you hear me?
There you go. Yep, we got you.
Hey, Chris, congratulations again, man. You've won the Super Bowl and now inked this new deal. Other guys in the past have tasted similar success and then have become sort of complacent, so to speak. Over the next 4 years, how do you make sure that you keep that hunger and that dog mentality that you brought since you've entered the league?
Listen, man, for me, it's nothing changed. It's still all about being the best. It's still about being a sack leader, winning defensive player of the year. I'm always pushing myself to new heights. And this is just one of the check marks on my journey. This is not the end of my journey. This is just the beginning. Thankfully, I'm able to finish with the Chiefs and build a dynasty and create something special. But for me, it's about having a Hall of Fame career, getting a gold jacket. If somebody told me, honestly, you can choose 20 million and 20 sacks, I'll choose the sacks every day. That's just where my mind and where my heart is at. Getting sacks, winning championship rings, man, and having fun, and enjoying the process. And that's where I'm at right now. The money is good to be financially stable to where I can get my kids and my family things that I wasn't fortunate enough to have when I was coming up. But for me, the game is bigger than just money. It's my passion. It's what I love to do, and I want to get the gold jacket.
All right, guys, we've probably got time for a couple more here. We're going to go Harold Kuntz and then Pete Sweeney to close us out. Go ahead, Harold.
Hey, Chris, congratulations, man. I know it's a top honor for you with all you've been through. My question to you always mention Sack Nation, and you're going to write a movie about it. In this movie, what do you think the final script ends up being with you and Frank Clark together now and a couple other guys in the defensive line for the foreseeable future?
Thanks, Harold. Most importantly, man, what's crazy is the last game, the Super Bowl, I was actually whispering to Frank that they had an audio tape. This might be our last game together. You got to cherish those type of moments, man. And thankfully, I'm able to spend 4 more years with my brother. It's going to be special. It's going to be special. When we finally retire, they're going to actually make a movie about how successful and how we was able to bend and keep this team together, and how Coach Reid came to an organization who haven't won a championship in 50 years and finally brought them their first championship. The general manager, how he was able to make sure that everything stayed intact, and Brent Tillers, who was able to finesse these contracts and to fit under the cap issue. And the head scout Ryan Nutt, Mark Donovan, the Hunt family, the list will go on. But they're definitely gonna make it'll be like a Michael Jordan Last Dance, but it'll be a beautiful movie, man. But they're definitely gonna make a movie about this, and hopefully it'll be by Stagnation Productions.
Let's go to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Chris, congratulations. Well-deserved. I think leading up to a contract, your first contract in the NFL, your position, a lot of the emphasis is on sacks. I was wondering, how much pressure did you feel that before you needed to sign this deal, you needed to get sacks? And now that you have it, do you feel like this will make you a better player because maybe you don't need to focus even on that as much anymore?
Thanks, Pete. But no, listen, man, I always put pressure on myself to be the best player I can be, man. It's not about the money. It's not about... Listen, I love sacks with a passion. I love pass rushing. I can wake up every day and, I can pass rush every day. It's my passion. It's my dream. It's my goal. It's the love of my life, pass rushing, man. And, I always put pressure on myself, whether it's this or not, whether I got a contract or not, I still have pressure on myself to be the best I can be. And that goal is to win the MVP. Win the best defensive player of the league. And I put that pressure on myself every year so I can challenge myself, set challenges for myself to compete at the highest level. And that's what my head is at. Whether I got a contract or not, that doesn't change my position or where I stand with my goals and ambitions in this game. My goal is still to wear a gold jacket when I'm finished with this game, and it's just where I'm headed, man. I don't care about the money. Thank God for the money. It's a blessing, man. It's a blessing to get this contract. It's a blessing that I'm with the Chiefs. But my ultimate goal is still to be a Hall of Famer, and that doesn't change anything.
First of all, when do they get palm trees in Stark Vegas? Hey, as you go to this next part of your career, one thing's really apparent with Spags, and that he asks guys to do a lot of things. As you move out into this next part, asked to play both inside and outside, what about you working on playing outside, even if you're asked to play outside the tackle shoulder? How much of that goes into your preparation for these next several years of your career?
That'll be amazing. Listen, me and Spags have a great relationship, man. And I tell Spags all the time, listen, at heart, I'm a 2BN, but I'm fortunate enough where you guys can use me as Cowboy. Anytime Spags need me to move around, play linebacker, outside linebacker, listen, I'm here for it. So I don't want to, listen, I hope Spags look at this and see that I don't want him to feel like I'm restrained or he's restrained in any type of way. Use me as this, you know. Put me anywhere on the field. I'm still gonna get sacks, baby. I'm a chasing quarterback. I'm gonna make sure he feel me. So, you know, anywhere Spags like to use me, I'm always open for it. You know, I actually love moving around. That's when the defense. That's when I kind of get an offensive problem. You know, moving around, inside, outside. Even I can stand up if Spags would like it. You know, I can stand up, play middle linebacker. You know, whatever you like. You know.
That'll do it for today. Thanks to our production staff of Derek Donovan, Savannah Smith, Randy Mason, Beth Welsh, Jeff Rosen, and Chris Fickett. Links to stories about the Chiefs can be found in the show notes and on kansascity.com. Hey, earlier in the episode, you heard me talk about the Sports Pass offer. It still stands and still a good one. $30 for a year's worth of sports coverage, and that includes Sports Extra that comes with the e-edition. There are more than 20 additional pages of national sports coverage today. Here's an even better offer. Buy the entire Kansas City Star product. News, sports, features, commentary, and analysis, the whole bit. You get all the stories written by my talented colleagues, plus extra news, sports, and business coverage. The details can be found at account.kansascity.com/subscribe. That's account.kansascity.com/subscribe. And whether it's the Sports Pass or the full subscription, you're getting and supporting the best sports and news coverage in Kansas City and helping us produce programs like SportsBeat KC. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back on Tuesday with another episode.